In this video, we are making ice chess, a chessboard that looks like a piece of ice. We will show the whole process step by step, making the first board, creating a silicone matrix from it, and then using that matrix to make a second board that can be reproduced. We will also show a little of the packaging process and some details of making the chess pieces from epoxy resin. We share techniques and practical tips for those who want to try something like this in their own workshop. Let's go! We took a plywood box and some fairly thick flour wrapping film. We coat it with a release agent for resin. And now we are going to pour epoxy into it. We laid out the cubes, crumpled the film, placed it inside and fixed the edges. We mix the resin, add pigment, and do not forget to pour it into another bucket after mixing, then mix it again. Just a reminder, pouring it into another bucket is necessary, so the epoxy and hardener are evenly distributed throughout the whole volume. If you mix everything in one bucket only, unmixed epoxy resin can remain along the walls, not properly mixed with the hardener, and later it will cure very badly inside the mold. We poured the epoxy and now remove the bubbles by going over the surface with a heat gun. You can use either a heat gun or a gas torch, but since we have plastic here, a gas torch would burn it. A heat gun also has to be used carefully because the plastic shrinks, but in our case that actually helps us a little. We mixed white resin and tried to pour it carefully into a special mold for the squares, so the epoxy does not flow outside these cells. It does not always work perfectly, but we try. Some of the squares will be poured strictly inside the cells. After every pour, we always give the epoxy time to cure and we always cover it with a cloth. This allows the warm air to escape because epoxy heats up while curing, but at the same time it keeps dust from getting inside as much as possible. The next day we take our casting out of the mold. The mold separated well from the box and the film also came off nicely. Now we lay out our squares and measure the places where we will glue them. After we understand where the squares will be located, We measure an equal distance from this square field and cut off the excess with a circular saw. We were not fully satisfied with the shape, so we refine it from the back side. We add some extra facets, cutting them with an angle grinder using a 40 or 60 grit disc. We shape it, make the edges sharper, and make it look more like ice. With an orbital sander, we process the edge. After the circular saw, there were some large rough spots on it. We make this edge even, and we roughly remove the top layer because during casting the resin pulls slightly, and the top surface becomes uneven. We need to make it as flat as possible, not polishing yet, just sanding for now. After sanding the lower facets, we add epoxy resin and spread it over the surface. This way it flows into all the uneven areas and the surface becomes smooth and transparent. Now we want to make a silicone mold from this shape so we can reproduce the board and cast other pieces in this silicone mold without doing such a huge amount of work every time. We take a box and coat it with release agent. We place our shape inside and move on to the silicone. mix the silicone according to the instructions, base plus hardener. Then we pour the resulting mixture into our mold. Cover it with plywood so no dust gets inside, and the next day we take our silicone mold out of the wooden form. This is the mold we got. Because we sanded the lower surface and then coated it with epoxy, it became smooth. And the mold also came out smooth. We refined it a little, trimmed a few areas, and now we try pouring our second board into it. This one will be a slightly different color. If the first board is more green, this one will be more blue. We cover it from dust and leave it to cure. The next day we take it out. In my opinion, it turned out great. Now these boards can be reproduced by changing the color. We no longer need to make the original board from scratch every time, and the result is excellent. Still, the squares we poured last time did not satisfy us, so we pour the squares again. We attach the mold to a plywood base with double-sided tape so it does not lift, bend or move, and stays flat. Using a syringe, we start adding 2 milliliters of resin into each cell, and then we will spread it. This way we will fill the whole mold with squares. When the squares cured, we cut off the sides of this mold. We ended up with squares lying on a backing layer. We apply glue on top and place our board over them. This way the squares will be distributed very clearly, evenly, and correctly. We turn the whole structure over and carefully remove the silicone backing. You have to agree, this is a great little trick for arranging the squares neatly so they sit exactly where they should. Not all the squares glued perfectly, but overall it turned out fine. Now we only need to slightly correct some of the squares that shifted, and pour epoxy resin over everything from the top. Again, we pour it in the same mold, because there is still a small rim there, so the resin will not spread out to the sides. Now these squares will end up inside the epoxy resin. So, just to remind you, our first board was green. We used it to make the mold, and the reproducible board is blue. We left it for some time, and now we return to the first board. On the first board we glued the squares separately, each square one by one, using super glue. Then we start sanding them down. Some squares are higher, some are lower, some are floating, and some of the squares came off or got sanded away. So we glue new squares in place using UV resin. UV resin is a resin that cures under ultraviolet light, and it cures very quickly. We apply a drop of this resin, place the square, and then shine an ultraviolet flashlight from the back side. The resin cures from the back and glues the square we need in place. This is how we assemble these squares. It is a very long and very inconvenient process. But we are showing you how the same board can be made in different ways while still looking almost the same. After we glued all the squares, we pour clear epoxy resin over the top. But this time we do not pour it in a mold. We simply pour it over the surface after sanding. The resin spreads out, it will drip and run down. Some of it will stay on top, and some of it will drip into this box. By the way, if you have something to say, write your suggestions or advice in the comments. Maybe how you do it, how you have done it before, or how you work with certain materials. We want this to be not just a channel where we show how we made something, but a workshop where we all learn together, make things together, and invent things together. To stop too much resin from running off the edges, we tape the sides. Then we remove the tape, and now we carefully sand the layer we poured on top yesterday. We go around the edges with a router to remove the sharp edge and round everything over. This is one way to do it quite quickly with a handheld router. After sanding up to 600 grit, first we had 40 or 60 grit, then 120, then 240, 320, 400 and 600. After that, the surface can be polished. We have this Polar Shine polishing compound. First we polish with Polar Shine 45, which is used after 600 grit sanding. After this polishing step, we polish with Polar Shine 10. And after that, you can also add extra gloss with Polar Shine 5. Now we move on to casting the chess pieces. These kinds of molds for epoxy resin casting are available for sale. A useful tip: it is more convenient to fill them with a 60 milliliter syringe. And do not forget to remove the air bubbles from inside. After filling about 2/3 of the mold, we gently press the whole mold, push out the bubbles that are stuck to the inside surface, and only after that fill it all the way to the top. After casting, we carefully sand the bottom of the pieces first with 120 grit and then with 180 grit sandpaper so the surface becomes flat. We glue on these felt pads so the chess pieces do not scratch the board. Now we move on to making the packaging. We created the drawings in Fusion and sent them to the guys to cut on a CNC router from 9mm plywood. By the way, a small tip: it is better to use 10mm plywood. We made these 3mm grooves inside. Later you will see what they are for. And now we move on to assembling the box. We assemble the boxes with PVA glue. We tighten everything properly, fix it in place and let it dry like this. The result is a fairly strong construction. If there were any small defects or artifacts, we filled them, trimmed them, and then coated everything with Tikurila oil-based wood treatment. We make one box where the chessboard will go, and one more smaller box for the chess pieces. The second box will fit inside the first box. Inside, we will glue soft velvet cushions so it feels pleasant to place the pieces inside. For this we took 3mm MDF and cut it to size. We cut 5mm foam, cut the velvet and assemble everything with hot glue. We pull it neatly into shape. In the next video we will show the creation of a large chessboard, and there we will show the process of making these cushions in more detail. Here we place them in, test the fit and glue them. This is the box we ended up with. One box goes inside the other and our board is placed on top. The chess pieces are in the second box and the whole thing closes up. In my opinion, it turned out wonderfully. The packaging is great, soft and beautiful. Inside it, there is the chessboard and the chess pieces are in a separate box. We made two versions in two colors with two different upholstery colors for the boxes. I think it turned out excellent. In the next episode, we will make another chessboard with an ice imitation too, but with a completely different type of imitation. Watch it. It will be very interesting and it will look completely different from these boards. In that video we will also show in more detail how we make the boxes.